Welcome to another episode of UCRD Reviews. So today I have another big giant box review, one of my favorites. So this one isn't quite as big as the Nightingale that I did a little while back, but it's much larger than a normal Robot Spirits. So this one's the YMS-16M Xamel version anime. So this mobile suit's from Gundam 0083 Stardust Memory, and it appeared in the first couple episodes of the series. It was assisting Anival Gato in capturing Gundam Unit 2. The Xamel is a fast attack heavy artillery mobile suit where it can lob artillery shells and get the heck out of there and move to a different position and continue lobbing shells, so he's kind of hard to track down. And we have it here in the Robot Spirits line. And it's a huge box. I mean, look at that. There's the Xamel's rear end there. So you have a lot of cool imagery on the box. You have some of the stuff I can do. Oh, I just hit my background there. Oops. And there's the back of the box, complete with a scene from one of the first couple episodes. So the Xamel actually had an MSiA release back in the day as one of the few 0083 figures that had one. And it was actually a really solid release. It came out in North America as well as Asia. And it did everything the Xamel needed to do, and it even did some weird stuff that the Xamel shouldn't have been able to do, like remove the entire rear section of the mobile suit and turned it into some weird turret platform. But that was a gimmick that was never seen again, thankfully. But we have the upgraded version here in the Robot Spirits, and it is most definitely an upgrade. I mean, you can just tell from this point of view here. So the Xamel cost me $191, US dollars, of course, before shipping. And it is a web exclusive, so it's pricey already, and then, it's giant. But we're going to see if we have a $200 figure in this box here. So let's check it out. So first thing you'll notice here, the Xamel is standing up. Just like the Nightingale did, they had it stand up in the box, which is interesting. I mean, it is a pretty massive design. I'm going to push its box back a little bit. So here's this chunky mobile suit, if you can even call it that. It's pretty big. It's mostly this tan brown color. You have some gray on the joints here, some dark gray along these pieces on the feet and the back, black on these vents. So not a whole lot of color here, but I mean, that's just kind of how the design is. It was pretty plain. You do have the little pinup girl on that panel back there, just like it was in the show. You have the little anti-personnel Vulcan pod here, and you have the 8-tube missile launcher, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But let's go into the articulation. So first thing here is the chest flex. Mobile suit doesn't really have much of a chest, but it flexes a little bit. The arms can actually pull out of the shoulder quite a bit. I mean, that's pretty good range there. Shoulder armor seems to be ball jointed way up there at the top of the arm. You do have full rotation of the arm, and you have full rotation here at the bicep. The elbow joints are really good. They can go all the way up. Hands are ball jointed really well, kind of like that double ball joint where it's a ball in here and a ball in the hand. You have weird little three-fingered alien-looking hands for the Xamel for some reason. Side to side, not a whole lot, not comfortably at least. Up and down is decent. Nothing too crazy. Let's do the missile pod. Missile pod actually has an interesting gimmick. So it's actually, you can kind of see back there, it's down. So we're going to pull up on it. So now it's up, and then you can deploy it. It's on a hinge, which is pretty cool. So it'll come down. When you press down on it, you want to press down on the joint, not on the missile pod itself. You don't want to stress it too much because it takes a little bit of force to get it down there. But it's pretty cool, and it is compatible with effect parts, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Speaking of the head area, this comes down and allows you to turn the mono eye in either direction. So interesting way to move the mono eye, but it works and it looks really, really good. These big old wings here are hinged. The arms kind of block them, but they can go out quite a bit. This is a really interesting piece back here. So this is where the cannon connects to, which we'll get into in a minute. But I like this. So this is the locking mechanism that holds the barrel of the cannon down when it's not deployed. It actually has this little teeny tiny lock here that allows it to open. When it's like that, you can't open it. Really neat design there. I really like that. This big hover piece is ball jointed up in there. It moves around a little bit, not a whole lot. Then you have the skirt armor is hinged. So Kay, buddy of mine from his YouTube channel, Hey It's Kay, you should go check him out. He noticed that these pieces actually come off. He didn't know why, and I don't know why, but they do. They're removable for some weird reason. This piece is ball jointed but doesn't really move a whole lot. Now the legs actually have a decent amount of articulation in here. You can probably see up in there it's got this hinge joint and it ratchets down, so it moves the actual thigh of the Xamel down a little bit, and you can get some good articulation out of this. So we're going to go from a standing pose and we're going to do a full kneel here. So you see the leg is now going like that and down. So that's pretty good articulation. I mean, not something you're probably going to be doing with the Xamel, but I mean that's a good articulation point there, you know, to be able to do a kneeling pose. Obviously the legs are super bulky, so there's, you know, the feet are, it looks like it's ball jointed down here in the foot and then ball jointed up in the ankle. And you have this really neat fabric-y sculpt here for all the joints, because with the way the Xamel is, it's you know, gliding around on sand, so they don't want all the particles in the joints messing everything up, so they had these coverings on them and they get recreated here. And then you have these pieces here all recreated. They don't really move or do anything, but you have effect part capability on the feet here, and I mean everything just looks pretty cool there. So really, really neat. So let's go ahead and grab some pieces here and build a Xamel up a little bit. So the piece that we need is this giant thing. So this is the Xamel's cannon, and it's pretty big. So this is it, and it's like rested stage. It actually kind of slides into the back of the Xamel here, and it'll actually pull up, and you'll pull out on it a little bit and then push it back in, and it'll completely deploy. And it is a ratchet joint, and it is massive, huge gun. I've been reviewing a lot of things that have giant guns lately, and this is definitely one of them. I can hardly even keep it in frame, but it looks great. This is exactly what it's supposed to look like. Works well. I like the ratchet joint. That's really, really cool. So let's put it on the Xamel here. Let me hit the camera. So we have the Xamel. I'm just going to put them like that. And so this piece just slides down. Move this wing here so you can see. Just kind of slides into here. Not very gracefully. There we go. And then what you'll do is you'll open up this cool little, adorable little latch here, and you'll just latch the cannon right like that. And so you have the Xamel, and I don't know if I said it earlier, but I apologize for the sniffling. The weather's kicking my butt. And this is the Xamel. It's pretty massive. So we'll do some comparisons with some figures, talk about the size of it and all that stuff. But let's get into the accessories real quick. Let's take a look at that. So just like any other version anime release, the Xamel actually comes with hands and a nifty little hand holder that we all love. Big old waste of plastic. Xamel comes with 3 sets of hands outside of what's currently on the mobile suit. So you have some hands for holding like a heat hawk or something, hands for holding guns with the trigger finger more exposed, and some creepy looking posing hands. Xamel has some really weird hand designs, but it can actually hold like Zaku weaponry and stuff. It was showing on the box, so just pretty cool. But it just comes with these 3 sets. Now, the next thing we're going to take a look at is the stand. And it has this weird stand piece here. You'll see that it looks a little different from most figure stand pieces. And it's jointed up here. And it's really, really tight. And it needs to be. And it looks like it can be tightened as well. And then same with this piece. It's not quite as tight. And then you have this large chunk at the bottom which allows side-to-side movement. So really interesting there. We're going to go ahead and remove all this packaging and set it aside. And we're going to take a look at this big old chunk of plastic. So this is the Xamel's stand. One interesting thing to note, it'll actually plug into here, but these panels all come out, and so you can rearrange them so you have 2 big panels here, and then this sliver here is like on one side or on the other side, so you can stick the Xamel kind of wherever you want. But basically, this will just plug down into here, and of course it's not going to be easy, I see. There we go. So you have it down in there, and then you can just put the Xamel onto it. So let's see what that looks like. Alright, so I've got the Xamel on there. I just kind of stuck him up there for right now, just to see how the weight of the figure holds up against the stand piece. And it actually does pretty well. It's not perfect. If you lean the Xamel back a little bit too far, this joint right here will kind of give way. Like right there, it just kind of drooped. It does actually swivel down here, so you can swivel the figure around. But it actually holds him up pretty well. I imagine over time it will start to get a little bit wobbly, but you are able to tighten it, it looks like. But I mean, the stand works pretty well for what we're given. So I mean, I'll test it out with posing in a little bit, but for now it looks pretty good. Alright, so the last bit here is going to be the effect parts. So firstly, you have the missile firing effect, which looks really, really good. You have great smoke effect. The paint looks nice. Missiles are molded really well. And it has 2 pegs here, and it basically just pegs right into the missile launcher, like so. Looks really, really good. Very convincing. So we're going to go ahead and put that back real quick and remove that. Then we have some smoke and dust effects. These are going to be kind of on the ground. You can orient them however you want. They just kind of sit. And you have 2 different ones here. They're painted really, really well. They look nice. I like the flaring here. They look best when the Xamel is actually on the stand. And then you have these 2 pieces here, which look like a Dragon Ball Z character's hair, but you have these 2 as well. Finally here you have some pieces for the cannon. So let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick. So the cannon has 4 different effect parts. I'm going to go ahead and get the cannon out here. There we go. So the first one is going to be for the barrel, and it is this massive shot piece, and you can see it's got a pretty huge part right there where it just goes right over the cannon like so. And it looks really, really good because you have the smoke effect going behind the cannon and then the actual shot itself coming out. So that one looks really, really good. And the rest of them are going to be, see if I can get this around here, they're going to be back here. So the cannon has a little door opening where it has kind of an exhaust port, and that one's going to go with this piece, and I believe it just pegs right into the bottom there. I think I'm right. Let's see if I am. There we go. So it's going to look like that. And then these two pieces are going to go out the side exhaust ports. So you have one like that, and then we'll kind of spin it around, and you have one like that. So when the Xamel fires its cannon, you have all of this coming out the exhaust, and it looks really great. I mean, awesome looking fire effect, and a firing effect, I guess. Looks absolutely amazing. I mean, that's pretty intimidating looking effect part. So I'm really happy with the effect parts here. So now that we've seen all the accessories, let's take a look at some comparisons. So real quick, I wanted to do a comparison with the Gundam GP01. The GP01 in the series is 18.5 meters tall with the antenna here, and the Xamel is 27 meters tall. So that's a 9-meter difference, which is about half of GP01's height. So you can imagine, take about half its height and stack it on top of itself, and you should come up to close to where the Xamel is. So I guess if anything, the Xamel's it's really close. It might be a teeny bit short, but I mean by such a tiny amount. You know, technically the Robot Spirits line is a non-scale line, and that's because it incorporates, I think, other shows that aren't Gundam. But I think they got this one really, really, really close. I mean, judging from, you know, like I said, it's about half of GP01's height stacked on top of itself, and you should be coming right up to the cannon. Now, in terms of actual height, I did kind of a rough measurement in our crazy American measuring system, and the GP01 comes out to about 5.5 inches, roughly, and the Xamel comes up around just short of 9, I think. So, I mean, it works out pretty well. I know a lot of people were saying, "Oh, it's way too small," things like that, and it's pretty close from what I can tell. I mean, what do I know? But you know, I think it looks good compared to the other figures, which is the really important part. Alright, so I'm going to do one more weird comparison here. You can see the GP01 and Xamel at the bottom of the frame here. I'm going to show you how tall the Xamel's cannon is. I had to move the camera up quite a bit, as you can see. So this is the cannon fully deployed on the ground in between both figures. And that is how tall it is. So it is pretty massive. Another giant gun for the collection. So real quick, just to show that the Xamel can indeed hold other weapons, I have it with the Heat Hawk and the giant bazooka. It holds the guns and weaponry really, really well, really tight, almost too tight. The Heat Hawk was kind of hard to get in there. The hand for the giant bazooka, so I'm gonna pop the other hand off here. So this is the trigger hand. You kind of have to get the weapon in between these two top fingers, and then bend this one out, this bottom one out quite a bit, and then around the trigger guard. I feel like if you do that a lot, you're going to snap a finger. So, I mean, it's not really a gimmick I'm going to be using a whole lot, but it can hold other weapons, and it doesn't look bad either. I think it looks kind of cool, so just wanted to show that off. So now that we've seen all of what the Xamel has to offer, we can see that it is indeed, at least to me, a $200 figure. It's huge. It has some great effect parts. I mean, it doesn't come with a whole lot, and it's not supposed to, but it is a vast improvement from the MSiA. Of course, that figure's, I think, 20 years old now, probably even older. But to have this updated version to go with all the other 0083 figures, the really nice stand, you have the words on the stand and everything, it just looks amazing. I really, really like it. So we're going to do a little turning here, but you can just see that it's a formidable mobile suit recreated in this magnificent looking figure. And well worth it if you can find it for a good price. I think that's going to be really the trick for everybody. Is, it's one of those exclusive figures, so it's going to be hard to find it for a decent price. As time goes on. But like I said, everything it comes with, the effect parts. The stand's really cool. It actually has a bunch of little hard points for different stands. You can have has enough room here that you can have a whole nother mobile suit on here, battling it out with the Xamel if you want to. So I gotta kind of pull it out here for the back so it doesn't hit my backdrop. But it looks absolutely amazing. I know that the 0083 line is still not done. We have the GM Custom, the GM Cannon 2, the Dom Tropin, and a bunch of other cool stuff on its way, so I really can't wait for all that. This 0083 line, I think, is the best thing that's happened to version anime. Some people didn't really like the Mobile Suit Gundam era stuff, but I think the 0083 line, most people can agree that it's just been great almost all the way through. So I'm really happy with it. The Xamel, if you can find it sub $200, absolutely pick it up. Even beyond that, it may very well be worth it for you. So thank you for watching the review, and I will see you next time.